This is MotoGP. "16 corners, 4.2 kilometres in length. The best race lap belongs to Enea Bastianini, the rider who finished third here last time out. Here, as you can see, turns 1, turns 4. This was earlier on this year between Joan Mir and Jack Miller over at turn 14. Coming up in MotoGP then, Pecco has a little help from his friends on the front row. It's a Ducati lockout. Can he cut back that Quartararo lead in the World Championship? Miller is second. Can he make it a day to remember for Ducati? The Australian looking for an overdue podium. Rookie Luca Marini looks to make it a splendid day in the sun. Can he get his best ever result in MotoGP? And what about Fabio Quartararo? If he's to become world champion today, he'll have to do it the hard way. The Frenchman starts way back in 15th. Welcome back to Misano here for the Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna. The weather much more pleasant here today than it has been in the previous days. The best conditions of the weekend so far facing MotoGP. 19-degree air temperature, 24 on track. A few clouds in the sky, but the sun is out for the first time since we arrived back on the Adriatic coast after a couple of days of mist and damp circuits and plenty of rain as well. Drama in MotoGP so far this weekend. Pecco Bagnaia on pole for the 4th time on the trot. Fabio Quartararo starting way back in 15th. What's in store today? It's match point Fabio Quartararo. He could become world champion here today. Although, in fairness, he'd need something to go horribly wrong for his Italian rival in the World Championship. Quartararo not going to plan yesterday in qualifying at all. The first pressure for him so far in 2021 on the way. And of course it's the last dance today for Valentino Rossi. Here is Fabio Quartararo. Here we can see his mum just wishing him the best of luck as they head into the garage. He looks pretty calm.
Yeah, there's Papa Quartararo as well, just embracing his son. Not just the biggest race of Fabio Quartararo's life coming up in about, what, 30 minutes time. The biggest day of his life. The first match point here at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. For the Frenchman to create history. 1949 we had the first Grand Prix World Championship in Premier Class history. There's never been a Frenchman that's taken the prize. Fabio Quartararo, then the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Well, he certainly looks relaxed ahead of what's going to be a emotionally draining, potentially 27-lap race here in Misano. He starts from his worst ever qualifying in the MotoGP World Championship. 15th place then for Fabio Quartararo. And what emotions are going through the mind and body of this man as Valentino Rossi comes into the Petronas Yamaha garage for his farewell appearance in Italy. Just listen to that reception. The cheers, the klaxons, the air horns going off in the background. His journey on Italian soil started in Mugello back in 1996, and it comes to a conclusion here today. 25 years later, a quarter of a century, Valentino Rossi has been bringing joy to millions of fans in this part of the world. But this will be his final fling, the last dance for the Doctor in front of his adoring Italian fans. 35,000 of them lucky enough to get a ticket for today's action. And what about this? A stunning, gorgeous, beautiful, special thank you livery. The bright yellow, the famous yellow colours so distinctive and associated with the 9 times world champion. Luca Marini will carry that resplendent Rossi one-off livery here today, and he does so fittingly from the front row of the grid for the very first time. They are then the Rossi fans who are lucky enough to get a ticket to see their man race for the last time in MotoGP in Italy. And talking of past Italian stars, I guess you could say, with Valentino Rossi, here is a current and in 2008. There are a lot more 63 flags emerging in the grandstands as they look for a new hero to cheer on here in Italy. Pecco Bagnaia, the only man who can stop Fabio Quartararo being crowned MotoGP World Champion in 2021. And he does it from pole position in his home Grand Prix.
4 podiums in his last 5 races, Pecco Bagnaia, the winner when we last came. He's looked unflustered so far of late. He has to finish the race today, by the way. Otherwise, Fabio Quartararo will be crowned world champion no matter where he finishes. There's a really good atmosphere here today in Misano. Big smile on the face of Pecco Bagnaia. What about Marc Marquez? What's in store for the man who was victorious last time out in Austin? I think we all knew, Matt, that it was always going to be a sterner test arriving back here in Misano, but he's actually playing down his chances of a podium altogether. Yeah, modest expectations ahead of this Misano battle then for Marc Marquez, who was stunningly dominant last time out at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. His second win of an injury-hit season for the 93. Said he expects to be fighting around that top 5. Of course, there was a big scare at the start of Q2 yesterday for the Spaniard, then a crash late on at turn 6 while he was following this man, Jack Miller. That leaves Marquez going from the head of row 3 in 7. Jack Miller's been second on the grid in 3 of the last 4 races, but he's not been on the podium now since Catalunya. 8 races have gone by. Can he follow Pecco Bagnaia home and do his teammate a favour here today? Definitely looks as though he's got the speed. He's been in the top 3 in every session so far. And there is that, as we mentioned, stunning one-off paint scheme here. A tribute, a homage to the legendary and iconic Valentino Rossi. And what a moment for this young man as well. The brother of Valentino Rossi to come to the grid in his home race with that special livery and starting from the front row for the first time. Brilliant performance by the Sky VR46 Avinci Ducati man. A 1:33.130 from Marini late on in that Q2 session. Got him on the front row. He was less than a tenth, only 0.08 of a second away from a sensational pole position. Yeah, the fans here of Valentino Rossi will be cheering on the likes of Bagnaia and Luca Marini, that's for sure. He witnessed his teammate Enea Bastianini fight his way through to a podium 5 weeks ago here. What's in store for Luca Marini? Because it's fair to say, with not much dry track time, opportunity knocks for a number of riders today in chasing a podium. Just trying to make Fabio Quartararo. The music's on, the shades are on, and certainly the butterflies all start to jangle and jingle inside that stomach now for Fabio Quartararo as the off gets closer. 27 minutes away now from the start of this 27-lap MotoGP race. A bit of an up and down weekend for his fellow Frenchman Johann Zarco. Started brilliantly, fastest in the wet session on Friday morning, second as well in FP2. Brilliant again, fastest in FP3, but missed out in the most important part of the weekend so far. Zarco finds himself back in 10th place on the grid. He took a pretty hefty tumble and fast crash at turn 13 towards the back end of that weather hit second qualifying session while he was trying to keep tabs actually with Pecco Bagnaia. 15-time world champion, the legend that is Giacomo Agostini, always present when we head over to Italy. Great to see him in the paddock once more as we say goodbye to another legend of the sport here this year. 3 races to go in Valentino Rossi's career. Aleix Espargaro on the factory Aprilia. It hasn't been the home Grand Prix weekend that the Nuali factory were hoping for. It's been quite difficult with the mixed conditions dominating proceedings throughout. Aleix Espargaro, he will go from 11th place. His returning teammate Maverick Viñales down in 19th place. Aleix Espargaro, as bluntly honest as always yesterday, saying not looking for excuses, just was not fast enough. But the conditions have been critical all weekend. Low temperature, damp, wet, full dry. It's been a real mixed bag, and I think the Aprilia just struggling with a bit of rear tyre temperature as well. But Aleix Espargaro, do not rule him out from a top 6 challenge. He goes from the middle of row 4 in 11th. Crash yesterday in qualifying, in fact 2 for Jorge Martin means that he's starting from 12th place, but we know he's got speed in race trim here. He was in contention for podium before crashing actually out of the race 5 weeks ago as well, so it's a good start, Jorge Martin. He's definitely got a shout at a podium here today.
Pecco Bagnaia, big day not just in terms of the championship, but a milestone day for him as well. His 150th Grand Prix appearance, and he would love to mark that special milestone from the top step of the podium. He was supreme here 5 weeks ago, an electric start from pole position, and he dominated the race from start to finish. Fabio Quartararo did get within cutting distance at the checkered flag, but Bagnaia, if he repeats that success, well, then the Prosecco on ice for Fabio Quartararo as we head towards Portimao.
There's a hug from Khaby Lame, the social media influencer, if you like, to Fabio Quartararo. He heads out on circuit then. Can he become world champion today, El Diablo? It looks like on paper an almost impossible task if Pecco's as fast as he was here 5 weeks ago.
Like you said, though, because if he crashes out, then the championship will go to this man, regardless of what happens. There's all the Rossi army, as we say farewell in 2021 to a former Yamaha great, and here's an emerging Yamaha great, a Yamaha legend in the making, potentially, with Fabio Quartararo, trying to be Yamaha's first Premier Class World Champ since Jorge Lorenzo back in 2015.
Oh dear, Brad Binder. Well, his weekend didn't get off to the best of starts, with a crash in the opening day and 20th on the grid. He's crashed on the sighting lap here. What has happened to Brad Binder?
Jorge Martin did that in Barcelona, didn't he, earlier on this year as well. That's an absolute nightmare, a nightmare to say the least for the South African. Tough weekend, he's starting way down in 20th place. Will he actually even make the start? He's got plenty of time to get back. They'll be getting the spare bike readied.
Well, here is the doctor, number 46, the 42-year-old, starting his 430th Grand Prix. The fans with their yellow flares, their flags, the hats, they've been gearing up for this. They've been dealt a treat in the weather as well, because it's been miserable up until today.
Valentino Rossi then, he's been here, done it, and got the t-shirt numerous times. Triple winner here in MotoGP in Misano. His farewell appearance though in this famous arena, just what a stone's throw away from his home in Tavullia, will be going from the back of the grid.
So there, not too much dry track action for MotoGP this weekend. Not many people will be opting for the yellow banded hard tyre for this race coming up. The soft front looks like it might be favourable. The medium rear is fine, as well as the soft rear as well. We'll find out a little bit more. I'm sure Simon is gearing up to speak to Piero Taramasso at some point as we look at these shots. Now then, what happened to Brad Binder? The good news is he's got back on his bike and he's heading back round to the grid. But the South African, it's hard to know whether it's a mistake or some freak accident. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it's just a cool tyre on the sighting lap. But yeah, what is not up for debate is Brad Binder was down, unfortunately. Looks like he's going to be A-OK to start this Grand Prix. He's got 20 minutes or so, as Pecco Bagnaia, as always, looking impervious to pressure. Ice cool, and he needs to be, because this is a big race. He knows if there's any glimmer of hope of him wrestling the title out of the hands of Fabio Quartararo, he has got to stay on board, and he's got to really win today. First Italian to take 4 consecutive pole positions since a certain great Valentino Rossi back in 2004. And there is the doctor then. There must be so much range of emotions going through his head right now. The day that he was not looking forward to, the day that he bids farewell to his adoring Italian public. Well, that day has arrived as he winds down to the end of one of the best Grand Prix careers we've ever seen.
So the grid forms. We're 20 minutes away from action here in MotoGP with Bagnaia on pole.
Yeah, Bagnaia on pole for the 4th race in succession, leading his Ducati teammate Jack Miller. First time in MotoGP history we have an all Ducati front row, with Luca Marini 3rd, Pol Espargaro, Miguel Oliveira and the impressive Frankie Morbidelli. They go from your 2nd row. Marc Marquez, the Austin winner, heads row 3. A MotoGP best qualifying for Iker Lecuona in 8th. He's ahead of Danilo Petrucci. Johann Zarco, Aleix Espargaro and Jorge Martin on row 4. Let's quickly, though, pop down on the grid. Simon Crafar has got an interview lined up here with our Austin winner, Marc Marquez. Down to you, Simon.
I have. He's just finishing talking to Santi. Mark, watching from the outside here has been really difficult because of track conditions. We haven't seen any long, dry runs. But my gut feeling...
Yeah, I mean, we will see. Of course, the grip position is not the best one to fight for the podium, because will be depend about the start and the first 2 corners. But anyway, during the weekend, I was starting a lot, even on wet and dry conditions, to warm the tires. As soon as I warm the tires, then my pace is not bad, but we will see how we can manage that first lap to warm the tires well. It's true that the front tire, everybody go to the medium, but on the left side will be on the critical side. And yeah, let's see. Time to... Of course, in Austin I enjoyed more than here, but time to do a race.
Marquez has a very good chance of finishing on the podium here. He's just got to get off to a good start. He's got Pol Espargaro, his teammate Miguel Oliveira and Morbidelli up ahead of him on the grid. Some
interesting early tyre news emerging from Michelin. This is their provisional race tyre selection sheet, and we have the 2 Frenchmen, the world champion-elect being one of them, of course, Fabio Quartararo, one of only 2 men that's gone for the medium rear tyre at this stage. Him and Zarco, and only 1 man's gone for the soft front tyre. Everybody else going for the medium. The soft front being picked at this moment by Maverick Vinales. But Zarco and Quartararo, they at this stage are planning to race the medium rear tyre. Everybody else with the soft.
Interesting stuff. Here is Luca Marini, 3rd on the grid. A good opportunity for him today. You just wonder, don't you, whether or not Fabio Quartararo's thinking, I might have to use a fair bit of tyre at the start and I don't want to burn up a soft.
Well, I think with the lack of dry track time as well, Steve, he's sticking with what he knows. He used the medium quite brilliantly here 5 weeks ago, didn't he? We know Bagnaia, after what he did in the early laps last time out, was always going to pick the soft. He needs to try and make a gap like he did here 5 weeks ago, but Quartararo came on so strong in the last 10 laps of the race, and that has got to be part of his thinking, going for that medium rear tyre again.
Pol Espargaro has been on the podium here before, but he was in these colours, the Red Bull KTM. Now, Miguel Oliveira has not been in bad form this weekend, in drying conditions, in the wet. 5th place on the grid here today. Can he say goodbye to this poor form that he's been on of late before we head home to his Grand Prix in Portugal next time out?
He'd certainly be looking for a big lift and a confidence boost going to Portimao in front of his home crowd. Just 7 points in the last 6 races. Now then, it's a big race, of course, for Ducati. Great day for them yesterday, locking out the front row of the grid for the first time. 4 consecutive poles for Pecco Bagnaia. Let's hear the pre-race thoughts of the team manager, Davide Tardozzi. Here's with Simon on the grid.
Davide, standing on the grid here, not only are your factory riders right at the front of the grid, they've looked super strong all weekend. I've got to say they're the favourites. I want to know what you feel.
Yeah, I think it's the first time that we have the first row with 3 Ducatis, so we are very happy about that, and that happens in our home race. But anyway, it will be a difficult race because the weather forecast, the weather during the weekend was always wet, and I guess that the decision on the slicks is a very tough decision. I think that it will be several decisions, several sets of tires on the grid, so we'll see who will have the right idea.
David, I have to ask because I'm thinking about it. I want to know, is there some team orders that could play out today?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I want to see how this race will go, then we'll see in Portimao.
Okay. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're hoping that they don't have to even implement any team orders here today. Pecco Bagnaia is the bookies' favourite to win here, so that would mean they wouldn't have to worry about it. The plan A, Matt, will be to bring Jack Miller in behind Pecco Bagnaia.
Maybe they've got the computer ready with the mapping 8 button, though, ready to fire over.
Not good to hear the boos from the crowd here. No surprises for guessing who they're calling out here at the moment on the grid.
It just fires the guy up even more, though, doesn't it? I mean, not that Marc Marquez needs any motivational tools, but that kind of reception, it does. This man had a great weekend so far as he winds down to the back end of his current MotoGP career. Looks like he's got some pretty cool tunes on his way. You can see him there swaying on that KTM. Relaxed and enjoying himself, soaking up the atmosphere of Valentino Rossi's last race on Italian soil. Iker Lecuona goes from a career best qualifying 8th place. He was really, really strong and fast in the tricky conditions. In fact, quickest, wasn't he, in FP4 yesterday afternoon?
14th on the grid for Alex Marquez, continuing to struggle a bit on the LCR Honda. A couple of races ago here in Misano, 15th was the best that he could manage. Now, let's find out a little bit more about what happened to Brad Binder, shall we, on that sighting lap, and also the chances of Miguel Oliveira. Pit Byre is on the grid with Simon.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the information's come through to Pit yet either, and nothing was on TV. So anyway, Pit, Miguel has looked much better at this one. I know it's a crazy, difficult race to predict because of the weather and that, but also Brad is so good at coming through, and I think he feels he can do it again, but he's just made the job a bit harder. Tell us your feelings, please.
At least he has less risk now in the first lap because no traffic out of pit lane. But, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, we struggled with him this Friday and Saturday. He has such a good race speed, and he would have this race speed also here in Misano today, I'm totally sure. But, yeah, I think he wanted to go out with a hard front in this cold condition, and yeah, the result we have already now proven. But on the other side, I'm very happy that I can see the whole KTM team. Both teams are regrouping a little bit, and especially Miguel, I think we have. But I'm glad. Papa Oliveira told me 2 weeks ago, don't worry, he's back. We are here in Portimao training with a stock bike, and he's ready again. So yeah, and it's proven, like every practice he was up there, so I hope for a good race for him today.
Fantastic news. Best of luck, Pit.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you wouldn't rule out a Miguel Oliveira podium here today, would you? If he's back to his best, then we know what Miguel Oliveira is capable of. We saw that at the start of the year. Tremendous atmosphere here. Every time an Italian name is read out, you can hear the crowd cheering away as we get closer and closer to racing action here. It was a very, very good day yesterday for the Tech 3 KTMs as well, and it's Danilo Petrucci's birthday today, his last race in Italy. It's here now from their boss. Hervé Poncharal with Simon on the grid.
He is, Hervé, always good to hear from you. I'm so happy your results this weekend have been like turned around. I'd love to hear your feelings going into the race.
Oh, first our two riders told us the same. Wow, this is a clear view on the grid. We are not used to, to see the front row. No, but seriously speaking, I think this is by far the best qualifying. It's good to have them two on the third row. What else to say? For sure the tough condition have been helping us because we know Iker and Danilo liked the kind of condition we had through the whole weekend. But right now this is a more normal race, I would say. Full slick, the track is warm enough to to see what's going to happen with a full dry setup, and still we're confident. We're confident. I think Iker is always doing some rocket start, so we hope he's going to do one more time. And he feels really pumped up. He feels really ready. And it's also Danilo's birthday today, 31. Last race in Italy in the MotoGP class. So each of them have got something to show, to prove, and they're both in a really good mood. So let's hope it's going to be enough.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hervé.
Thank you.
Thanks to Hervé Poncharal. Speaking of Frenchmen, you just saw there on your screen the graphic that came up. Fabio Quartararo has spoken to DAZN, the Spanish broadcaster, and said, I didn't like the soft tyre in the San Marino Grand Prix, and I didn't like it here yesterday either.
Yeah, no great surprise. And as we said, sticking to what he knows, going for the medium rear tyre, which he used so brilliantly in the second half of the race last time out. Pecco Bagnaia was, over a couple of seconds clear, and then he got back to 0.4 of a second. Great battle between the top two men in the championship.
So we inch closer and closer to the Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna. There's a smile on the face of Marc Marquez, but we'll just stay quiet for a little while now because it's the Italian national anthem about to be sung by Tania Bussi. Well, that was a bit special. Perfect timing from the aerial display team flying overhead here for this Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna on the Italian coast. Tania Bussi singing the national anthem, Fratelli d'Italia. Will we be hearing that tune again at the end of this MotoGP race for Pecco Bagnaia? There is Claudio Domenicali, the boss man at Ducati here this weekend. He'll be hoping for a decent result. Before we get things properly underway here, Simon, let's just drop down to you. Your thoughts about this race. What do you see happening? How's this one going to pan out?
Well, it's one of the more difficult ones to pick because we haven't seen any dry, proper dry runs like FP4. We can normally study that. Race runs, it's all been patchy and so super difficult. I don't think even the teams know. The thing is also, here's my feeling. The two factories, wow, that's pretty cool. Two factory Dukes right on the front. They start well. The riders are going super fast, so it's most likely they're going to be at the front from the start, of course. But I think Mark, like I said earlier, interviewing him, I think he's got a really good chance to battle through. He's so good off the line first few turns. He's going to get there soon, I think. Then there's two wild cards. I'm wanting to see how far they're going to come through, but how far they can come through and how damaged their rear tyres will be. I would like to say that is Fabio, obviously, and Joan Mir. I think those guys are going to come through. Fabio's got less work to Joan. Joan's on the second to last row. He's nowhere, but he is fast. So I think there's a chance of a Suzuki getting all the way into the single figures. That's my feeling. One other thing about tyre-wise, I'm going to talk to Piero, but look, if they run the soft has a tendency to tear the left-hand side, which is the softer rubber. Then if they run the medium, that has right-hand side, and if that happens, you've got no chance because all the turns here are right. So
working their magic. Joan Mir might have speed, but he might need actual help from the aerial display team if he's to fight his way through from 18th on the grid. It's going to be very difficult for him. He's going to need a rocket ship start here at the Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. Nerves are all the way through the grid, maybe even a few today for Fabio Quartararo. At no point in 2021 has he found himself as far back as this on the grid. In all but one of this year's Grand Prix, he's been on the front row, and the other one was Qatar, and he was 5th. This is a different proposition entirely from the 5th row of the grid. Let's find out what Shinichi Sahara makes of Suzuki chances here today. Alex Rins starting from 13th, and as we just mentioned, Mir 18th. Sahara-san is with Simon on the grid.
Yes, Sahara-san, please can you give us your thoughts going into the race?
Okay, there's not grid position is such a from the back, but just try to catch up the front guys and recover the position in early stage of the race.
Sahara-san, I had a gut feeling that Joan is fast and he can really come through. I want to know if you saw the same.
Yeah, exactly same. What I have. Yeah.
Okay. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Here we go then, here's your front row. Looks like some last minute tyre changes for some of the riders. It's Luca Marini 3rd and the two factory boys 1 and 2, just as it was here 5 weeks ago. What's in store? We could be crowning